Call you quick. What's going on, Alan? Good to see you. And what's going on, everybody else out there? Welcome to Stock Watch Sunday. Hi, my name is Brad, and this is Own the Chaos. As I always say, the stock market is a crazy and chaotic place, and I made it my mission to help you own it. So if you want to see more content such as this, and tune in to Stock Watch Sunday every Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I put out a video, and hit that thumbs up button for an incredible Stock Watch Sunday yet again tonight. Now, just to let you know, President's Day is tomorrow, so there will be no trading tomorrow. So enjoy your day off for all of you full-time traders, such as myself. And do whatever the heck you want to do. You can do some more research, but I figured, I tossed around the idea of doing this on a Monday night because the stock market's closed tomorrow, but I figured I'd just stick to the regular routine and then, enjoy the day tomorrow, and as well as you guys can too. So let me welcome some folks in here. Alan, what's up? Mick Tag, Miguel, good to see you. What's up, Jeff, the rural dad? You were editing a YouTube video. What's up, Eunice? Mark, good to see you. Miguel, good to see you as well. Elizabeth, hey, what's going on? Just started watching the Barcast. Yeah, so if you guys are interested in my new channel is at the Barcast. And actually, you know what? I'm going to do something. I'm going to share that link in the chat just so that I can, if you guys would, I would appreciate you give me some love. If you guys want to do that, I would really love you guys going to check that out. So let me share the link. You guys can chat it up. So the Barcast, if you're not familiar, is a podcast that I have started with my business partner of We Trade HQ and of Own the Chaos. And we basically share entrepreneurial stories, our own, and then we have guests on as well. We're actually getting ready to do some recording tomorrow for that and have a guest that is a former NFL player and started his own business. So lots of really cool stuff. So I'm going to share that with you guys real quick, the link. If you guys want to go subscribe to that, I certainly would appreciate it. And it would kind of show us a little bit more love as we're trying to get things going and getting everything, underway. As you guys might imagine, starting a new channel is pretty tough, pretty challenging. So if you want to check it out, there's the link there. And certainly would appreciate that. So the stocks that we're watching this week, it's going to be a little bit of a weird week. There are earnings that come out, but nothing that really kind of jumped out at me that would really want to look towards trading. So we're going to backtrack on some of the stuff that we watched this past week and see how there might be some good reactions off of overreactions or maybe lack thereof to hop on some potential opportunities for the week. It's going to be a little bit of a weird week because of that 4-day week, but we are going to watch AMD, Tesla, Nvidia, SPCE, and HIRU. So if you guys are new to my channel, I do a little bit of both penny stocks and larger cap stocks as well. I started this channel trading penny stocks, and I still trade them pretty regularly. But as you guys may or may not have heard, the OTC market has been really tough lately. And so I wanted to expand this channel, expand my audience, and then also, expand my horizons as a trader too, and do a little bit more than just the OTC, especially since the OTC stocks, if you're new to trading, you can lend yourself to some really serious risk if you're not careful about, trading those types of things. So we're going to look at that. And I see that somebody's already subscribed to the Barcast, so thank you so much. I do appreciate the support there. And let me welcome a few folks here before we get started. What's up, Matt? Good to see you. John, Freightliner, Jason Snyder, what's going on? Let's start the week out great. I couldn't agree with you more. What's up, Bodie? Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And Ryan, good to see you. So, let's get started. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and we will get this underway. So the first thing that I'm going to watch here, thanks, Jeff. I'm not hating at all. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys here, and I'm going to pull up AMD. So like I said, we're going to do things a little bit differently here. By the way, if you have any questions about particular stocks that you'd like me to take a look at, I'd be happy to do that. Just make sure that you're putting the tickers down here in the chat, and then reasons as to why you see value in that. So, a little bit of pet peeve of mine is just, if you put in, a specific ticker or just attach like thoughts on and then insert ticker here, I probably will look over it. So if you can kind of bring some context to the table, why is it that you see value in this? Do you like that stock for a particular reason? Let me know in the comments. And if you're watching this at a later date, I still would love you to leave some comments, as I do answer and reply to all the comments even after this video goes up. So if your stock didn't get answered, I certainly would appreciate you putting a comment there, and I will get to it as soon as I can. So here we go. So the World Series of Day Trading, yeah. So Apple switching to AMD, yeah. So there was a deal with Apple and AMD, which has caused this to go up. So if you look here, and this is on WeTrade HQ, by the way, if you're not familiar with this is a free platform where you can do a lot of your own due diligence on stocks, as well as talk about them amongst your friends. This is also a learning platform. So if you're looking to learn how to day trade or invest in the stock market, we have plenty of resources and mentors that you can take advantage of. Of course, I am one of them. So if you're interested in checking that out, the links are in the description below. If you want to go check out the mentorship, I go live with folks every single day and show them how I plan and how I trade in the stock market. So if you guys want to check that out, links are in the description below. So we're talking about AMD, the first stock that we're going to be watching this week. And AMD has finally started to make moves as it should have since its earnings. So it had earnings late in January 28th, if I recall. Expected earnings at the time were 31 cents a share. They beat earnings at 32 cents per share. And if we go out on the daily chart, you can see that it actually tanked once those earnings came out. So you can see that these earnings came out, and there was really no rhyme or reason to it. This is on the daily chart here. You can see this is when it started to kind of really tank. This giant red candle was that day of the earnings, and it was really puzzling. Finally came back down, and you can see this is a little bit of an unorganized cup and handle pattern, but it's starting to break out of that cup and handle. So a decent sell-off after the market opened on Friday, and then it started to surge right on back up, and $55 seems to be that area where it's already kind of gotten rejected a couple of times here, and we're starting to threaten that again. This could go one of two ways. Either it's going to break up over this 55.40 mark and then continue to go to new highs, which is what I feel like it's going to do, especially because I think this stock is still seriously undervalued. Especially with its competition. I think that Intel's probably its biggest competitor right now. I don't think there's anybody else that's really even close to AMD as far as microchips and stuff like that's concerned. So I think given the fact that they have knocked their revs out of the park, they're just a really good looking company. And I think that second quarter should prove to do rather well for them as well. And, this is the correction that we were looking for on AMD anyway. So if this breaks out above this 55.40 mark, it should make nice moves higher, which I think it probably will end up doing. If it doesn't, there's a good chance that it'll get, if it gets rejected here, there's a good chance that it'll probably come down even further. So if it ends up getting rejected at this 55.40 mark, we'll take a look and see how this reacts once it reaches this resistance, which we're pretty close to. And then if it ends up getting rejected, there's probably a really good chance it's going to come back down to either 54 or maybe even back down at this zone around 54.23. So you have 54.60 and then 54.23. So that's probably where it'll end up coming down. And again, this is on a 5-minute chart. So, take that for what you will. This would be on an intraday basis. There's arguments that you can make for going long on, here, I got you, Willis. But there's arguments you can make for going long term, which, if you're looking to invest in this in a long-term portfolio, I think this is a great stock, a great company to be investing in my opinion. But if you're looking to, do an intraday day trading on this as well, there's definitely some really good setups. One thing that I would say, as far as AMD is concerned, there's always this pattern with AMD. When it seems to have a weak pre-market, in other words, when it starts off at a lower price than it closed, the day before, it's really had this strong pattern where if it has a weak pre-market, there's a really strong, really strong buying volume that comes in after the market opens. And consequently, if it has a really good pre-market, if it ends up gapping up pre-market, there's a pretty sharp sell-off. And we've seen this pattern within my mentorship pretty regularly. And so really what I think it comes down to is if AMD ends up having a really strong pre-market, it'll be interesting to see on Tuesday how the market reacts once the bell rings. So I will be keeping an eye on AMD. I think there's some really good opportunities to be buying into this one. So, again, this would be one that I would more than likely go long on and really see a long play rather than a short on this one. So I'm just checking in here. I see Willis. I see you, man. Thanks for showing up in the live stream today, man. It's good to see you, brother. Some notable penny plays to watch. There you go. Willis, if you guys aren't familiar, so African Emporium, who's in the chat right now, he's one of our mentors within WeTrade HQ. So if you want to go check that out, he actually is also a mentor within our group. He's amazing, really, really down-to-earth guy, and will teach you the right way on how to invest and trade in the stock market. So a really great guy. He's also going to be in our World Series of Day Trading, which it's too late to sign up for it now. The sign up is closed. We've already talked about that, but I'm super pumped for the World Series of Day Trading as well. That's going to be a lot of fun. So anyhow, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. I'll let you chat away on here, Willis, if you want to throw out some other stocks. More than happy to have you do that. Let me go ahead and share my screen here again, and we'll move on to Nvidia. Now, Nvidia is interesting here because Nvidia, we talked about this last Stock Watch Sunday. This is one that I pretty much nailed on the head here. Felt like Nvidia was going to do really well as far as earnings were concerned. The revenues were higher than they were before, and the revenues, if I recall, and I should have looked it up, but revenues I think were higher than they have ever been for the last 3 years, and that's why this stock did so well. The earnings they knocked them out of the park. Here's my thing though, now that it's gapped up considerably and really kind of consolidated, this is again on the 5-minute chart here, if you can see this is kind of consolidated right around 290, a huge move up. But they just came out with news after the market closed. And if you guys want to check this out, so again, if you go to WeTradeHQ.com and you look up your favorite tickers, this is a nice thing about this resource that you have over at WeTrade HQ. You can talk about this amongst your friends. You can see how people are talking about Nvidia. Well, you can look at their financials. It's always updated. You can look at their SEC filings even if you wanted to. But what I really like too is the news over here. So this is what I did when I was looking up some due diligence on Nvidia, and I found this. I found that Nvidia they had their earnings report, obviously, but they are fearful that they trimmed their earnings outlook by $100 million over the virus that we won't talk about because YouTube will probably monetize me if I actually say the name of the virus because it's happened before, so I'm not going to say that. But it's a virus, as you can see here, that originated in a heavily populated country in Asia. Well, that's how we'll just talk about that. But that is why I think that Nvidia is actually not going to be a long play, at least in the short term, given this major move up and that news that came out after the market closed. So, I mean, I'm rooting for Nvidia. This isn't something that I'm bashing, but I think this is probably going to be something that we at least see a gap close. So it gapped all the way up to about 295. And so, the gap is going to probably more than likely fill, I would say, somewhere around the 270s. So in my opinion, I think this is probably more than likely a short play on Nvidia. So if you're looking to short something this week, I would look for opportunities to potentially short Nvidia. Look for this pre-market to probably take quite a dive based off of those scary looking revenue cuts. $100 million, that's a lot for Nvidia. So be on the lookout for that. So let's see. Next one's going to be Tesla. Move over to Tesla. Now, let me come back here. So Tesla, if you guys didn't watch my previous videos that I put out this week about Tesla, Tesla came out with an offering, a $2.5 billion or almost $2.5 billion offering. And there's a lot of controversy with this, right? Because when Tesla came out with their earnings report, Elon in the conference call said, we don't really have any need to raise any more capital. We think we're good. So, probably not going to do anything as far as offering is concerned. But at that time, the stock was pretty low. It was at $567 a share. after that earnings call, the stock almost doubled. So at that point, it's like you almost got to do it, right? You almost got to issue some sort of offering, and they did it the right way. It was interesting to see this because they did the offering as a $2.5 billion offering, which you would be like, my God, that's a ton. But it really isn't. When you look at it, at the way that Tesla's been trading, the amount of shares that they put in the offering could be all eaten up within one pre-market session. So it was really not a non-factor. And so there was a lot of bulls or a lot of bears out there that are like, oh, here it is, it's going to tank. Sure enough, it actually did a little bit pre-market and went all the way down to $735 a share, but all the bulls just went up and said, not the day. So I had to use that. I bought this thing. This is like an amazing toy. This is a Roadcaster, and I've been messing around some sound clips, so I had to use that. It was freaking hilarious. So anyways, the long said, not today. We're not going to stand for it. Ended up buying the hell out of this thing. So if we look at the share structure here, or not share structure, rather, the way that this moved Thursday and the Friday, it went well above $800 a share, all the way from lows at $735. So yet again, another short squeeze on this thing. And this just keeps ripping up. If you're looking at it on a 5-minute chart here that I have pulled up, if you're looking at this intraday, you can see that it started to trend down a little bit after its major run up. But I think Tesla still, if you're looking for long-term trading on this, if you're looking to put this in a longer-term portfolio, obviously you guys know how bullish I am on Tesla. This is something that I would certainly put in a longer-term portfolio. But for this week, if you're watching it this week, look for a continuation. I definitely think that we could see perhaps a $900 move if this continues to get squeezed out. So that is going to be definitely something to watch. If we look at this, I'll bring this back out, you can see that it's actually holding quite well now, up over that high $700, low $800 range. So we should see a nice move as long as nothing crazy happens. But I would not be betting against Tesla. Like I said, like I say all of the time, when trading Tesla, the first rule in trading Tesla is just don't short Tesla. So if you're looking to trade this thing, I would look for a resistance break up over around 818. I had this marked earlier. I don't know what happened. But 818 seems to be that next area of resistance. So if it breaks up over 818, we should see a nice move out of Tesla. If it breaks down below 787, maybe it comes back down to this mid $700 range. It's been loving this mid $700 range really for the last week and a half or so. And then the offering came out, and lo and behold, it goes up. So, I think that it would be a mistake to short it. So there you have it with Tesla. Next one we're going to talk about, and let me check in with you guys here. See, guys, lots of you guys are chatting in here, so this is awesome. I see a lot of people like my little soundbite. What do you guys think about that? Do you think I should add some more sound bites? I would love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know down below if you're watching this at a little later time or here in the chat. Give me some sound bites you want me to pull on this thing, and we can make it happen. I just want to have fun with it. There's so much more I could do with this other than just talking in this microphone. It's crazy. And I really think that it would be cool if I could somehow figure out a way, and maybe if you guys could give me some feedback, I would love it. Been doing some research on how to get you guys to call me during the live stream. I think it would be fantastic. The thing of it is that I don't want to give my personal number, obviously. So we have to figure something out there. But I would love for you guys to be able to call in and ask certain questions and be able to interact with you that way. I think it would be a great idea. And so if you guys give me some feedback, anybody out there, any fellow creators that might be watching that have done this before, let me know. So next one we're going to be watching is Google number. See, I've thought about that, but I need to figure that out a little bit more. So thanks, Willis. I'll definitely have to do some more digging on that and how to make all of that work. You do it on other channels. Okay, yeah, get with me, Willis. Hit me up, man. Or maybe I'll reach out to you. Either way, I want to make it happen. I think it'd be cool. So, all right. Next one we're going to talk about is SPCE, which is Virgin Galactic. And short squeeze for this thing is an understatement. This thing has been, unbelievable. I've been really shocked. So, what Virgin Galactic is doing is something, it's things that dreams are made of, right? We never thought in our lifetime we would ever see, leisure trips to outer space and back. And this is what this company is doing. It just, that's the business that they're in. They had recently the news that came out a few days ago. Spaceship 2 Unity is in operation. So, and apparently they're making plans to put so if you guys aren't familiar with Richard Branson is behind this. The CEO is not Richard Branson, but obviously with the Virgin brand behind it, then Richard Branson is involved. They're planning on trying to get Richard Branson out in outer space, get this thing fully functioning for his 70th birthday, which is right around the corner, if I'm not mistaken. They call themselves a vertically integrated aerospace company, which is very interesting. Here's what I found that was interesting. So this is the 5-minute chart here. And you can see that this is starting to trend down. And I actually traded this on Friday twice. So I traded it up here. I got in around $24.50, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go back and look, but somewhere around that area. Rode it all the way up here, sold it on this downtrend, and then it broke out, and then I traded again for a quick flip, and I was out. This thing kind of scares me for a long hold, only because this is a very speculative company. And I know that, we trade speculative companies all the time, and it's not a big deal, but I'm really kind of not keen on holding this one for a long-term play, but nevertheless, I love a good short squeeze, and this is exactly what this is. Honestly, this is a short squeeze. You look at this now. If you go to Fintel, this is where I always go to look for high short interest. I saw this writing on the wall with Tesla. And there was a major short interest on this, and it was right around this number. The last time we saw this on Tesla, it ran all the way up to around $700 from the $500 range. So this is something that I'm definitely interested in looking at. Look at all this short interest that happened on Friday here. 19, usually when it's in the $15 range, or 15, the ratio is in 15 range, usually means that's a nice setup for a short squeeze. And now we're already up at 19. So short interest on this is high, and you can see that there's a lot of people that are buying into this. Huge buying volume. Look at this. At the end of the day, copious amounts of buying volume. And then after hours, it actually ended up closing after hours at 29.89. So if we see a 30 break on this, listen, there's something to be said for cult stocks and how they run. We've seen this with Apple before. We've obviously seen this with Tesla, and not to say that Tesla doesn't deserve to be at the price that it's at, but there's something to be said for a perfect storm of events, right? You have a lot of excitement surrounded around SPCE. You have a lot of short interest. And so then you have a lot of people coming in and buying this up because of that short interest. And so it's just a perfect storm right now for a really huge short squeeze. So there's a lot of people calling for this to go to maybe $50 to $100 a share. I'm not going to be one of those people that calls that, but I will tell you that I think it would be a mistake and it'd be extremely risky to go short on this for that reason. So maybe you want to go long on it, maybe not. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how this plays out on Tuesday. I want to see if there's going to be any kind of pullback or maybe other opportunities. There's no way in hell that I'm buying this right out of the gate. So maybe a pullback down to the $26.50 range seems to be where it was kind of consolidating there, forming some sort of support. But other than that, like I said, I wouldn't go short on it. But I don't know if I would go long on it either. You know what I mean? Like I think it's really risky either way. So, anyhow, that is SPCE. I know there was a lot of people that had questions on that one, and I wanted to make sure that I addressed it accordingly. But I think there's plenty of intraday opportunities here. Just don't know if this would be one I would put in like a long-term investment or anything like that. Willis says options are getting expensive every day on SPCE. Interest ratio is 6. Yeah. So, and this is what we saw, right? Willis with Tesla, same thing, same type of situation from, short interest, that sort of thing. Not to compare this to Tesla, the company, but the setup here, I think could be argued that it's pretty similar. So that is my 2 cents on SPCE. Now, as you guys know, like I said in the beginning of the stream, I came from the OTC. I was I still am OTC penny stock trader at heart. And so I always like to make sure that I'm still staying loyal to any of my folks that still come onto this channel and want to hear about over-the-counter penny stocks. So that's what I'm going to dedicate this part to. And then I'm going to go through the chat here and see what stocks you guys would like me to look at. Now, we have a lot of conversation going on and a lot of engagement, which I think is awesome. You guys are fantastic. You guys are great. I'm so glad you're here. But, you know, there might be some situations where I won't get to everybody. So don't be offended if I don't. But I will ask you, if I don't get to your stock that you're asking about, make sure you put it in the comments below after this live stream goes up. And I promise you, I will get to your stock, your favorite stock that you would like me to take a look at. So make sure that you do that if by some chance I don't get to it during this live stream. Okay. So the penny stocks that I'm going to be looking at that I think are worth a watch. First one's going to be PASO or PASO. So this one has actually been on Stock Watch Sunday previously. And as you can see here, there's a pretty extreme selling off. And what this is on this chart here is dilution. There's a lot of dilution going on PASO. And what I noticed, though, on Friday is something called T-trades. And so if you guys aren't familiar with over-the-counter penny stocks and how they work, you know, whenever you're seeing dilution occur on a penny stock like this, at the end of the day, you'll see a T-trade. So what that means is, and I'll come back here. So what that means is that when you're seeing that T-trade at the end of the day, or a massive amount of shares traded, the last, you know, order of the day that you'll see on the OTC, because they're not traded after hours, you'll see this massive number. And usually that's because that is the amount of shares that weren't shown throughout the day. So market makers have the ability to basically hide their hand and not show it to you until the end of the day. So you won't know how many shares were diluted throughout the day by a particular market maker until the end of the day a lot of times. And in this case with PASO on Friday, there were no more T-trades anymore. We were looking at T-trades on this day in and day out for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And on Friday, there was none. So that is the first sign that I think could, express a nice move on PASO north. I think this could end up making a nice move. That in and of itself is a catalyst if there's no more dilution going on. But what I want you to take a look at here is what I found on OTCmarkets.com, which is where I do a lot of my due diligence on on OTC stocks. And so they came out with a filing just today. Let it be known that I personally acquired approximately 9 million shares of PASO common stock in the open market. My personal securities are being held at a retail brokerage firm. Their compliance department has been notified of the holdings that are now governed by the rules that apply to insider affiliate shareholders. So that's a lot of shares. That's around $90,000 worth of PASO that the director of the board has now bought and has now made it known. So this usually can induce some buying. Now, PASO, if you're not familiar with what's been going on with them, PASO has actually been looking for a merger candidate. And so this is one of the largest catalysts that you'll see in OTC penny stock trading is these mergers or these reverse mergers that go on. So if you're not familiar with what they are, if you are a privately traded company and maybe you either can't afford to go public via an IPO or you just rather would not go through all of the red tape, you would go and find a dormant or a shell that maybe no longer has a business, and you could reverse merge into it that way and still be able to be traded publicly. So that is what's going on with PASO. The company has been trying to reverse merge or find a reverse merger candidate for some time. And so now it looks as if maybe something might be rumbling along around here. So looks like a lot of the shares that have been dumped onto this thing via dilution is over. You can see that the board of directors was buying up a ton of shares. So this could be a nice little move on PASO. So definitely something one you want to take a look at and, consider what you want to do as far as that's concerned on Tuesday. So next one I wanted to look at that I think is probably, and this is one that I always I always like to put these lotto plays out there because sometimes they end up working out and making massive moves. So this is going to be one that is in that situation. And that's going to be HIRU. Now, I couldn't pull this up on WeTrade HQ for some reason, but if we look at it here, I could pull it up on my Thinkorswim account. And you look at, let me pull it out on the daily chart here. We look at the daily chart. You can see there's been some considerable volume here going on with HIRU. And the reason for that being is because there has been some updates going on with HIRU that could potentially, again, lead to another merger play here. So this is the rumored company here. It's Accelerav. Turns out that they actually end up having a legitimate business here, 15 employees, $3 million in revenue, and it's priced right now at what did it close at? 0007 is where it ended up closing at yesterday, or on Friday rather. So this could be like one of those ones that ends up making a really nice move. Dilution's been done on this thing. The share structure is actually relatively decent for this price point. So if we go look at the share structure here, you can see it's about 1.7 or 1.2 billion shares unrestricted, which you guys, who trade bigger board stocks are probably like, holy hell, that's a lot. But with this price point, it's really not. If you look at something at 0007 cents per share, you can buy millions of shares at a time if you wanted to, and really isn't going to be that big of a deal. So, but having said that, like I said, when you look at something that is at 000 anything per share, it's more or less a lotto play at this point. Maybe it makes a nice move, maybe it doesn't. But, the key pieces are there for it to have some considerable buying volume. You kind of saw that towards the end of the day on Friday. So, definitely one that you may want to consider taking a look at and seeing if that's worth, watching and making a play on. So those are the ones that I have throughout the week that I'm watching. And now I get to do the fun part. The fun part is that I get to go and look and see what you guys would like me to take a look at. So, yeah, that's a good point, Jane. So Jane Lane says on PASO, letter to shareholders came out last week. It didn't budge at all, but I think the reason it didn't do that was because of the dilution that was going on there as well. Okay, let me scroll up here and see what we got. So I'm trying to go towards the beginning to see if there's anybody that asked first. ADI to report earnings on February 19th. Oh, yeah. That was Willis giving his 2 cents there. Team Brad is stacked. Yeah, so the World Series day trading. I'm super pumped for that. Nvidia top dog and GPU game. But yeah, so Nvidia, also kind of got a divorce from Blizzard, right? So that's kind of been the other thing that's been going on with them. And again, the move that made off of those earnings was really, really good. But given the fact that of the virus fears and how they're anticipating $100 million revenue loss for this quarter, I'm really hesitant to go long on Nvidia right now just because of everything that they have going on, given those two factors. I don't anticipate them having as good of earnings in the second quarter as they did in the first. So we'll see how that turns out. Like, share, and subscribe. I love it. Yeah, give me a thumbs up, guys, if you got some value out of this. Let's see here. People talking about Cervases. Why not? HENC, like I said last week, and look, it took off, right? We talked about HENC last week, and I said, listen, when there's this many people that are hyped up over something that, in my opinion, hasn't really materialized, there's a really high chance that at some point the rug's going to get pulled out from everybody. And I'm not saying that HENC can't continue to go, but my opinion still stands on that. I'm not going to buy HENC as an experienced OTC trader. That's not something that I'm going to be getting into. It's gone up literally thousands of % in the last 2 weeks. So in my opinion, it's just extremely risky at this point. Could you buy some more and maybe it ends up taking off even more? Of course it can, but the risk doesn't outweigh the reward as far as I'm concerned at this price point. So HENC, that's why it's been off my watch list. Would have been great to get in early. I missed a boat on it. Such is life. Happens all the time. You just move on to the next opportunity. So NIO. So yeah, we can talk about NIO. Let's take a look at the chart on NIO. So if you guys aren't familiar with NIO, NIO is a Chinese EV car company. And basically what people like to equate them to, which I do not like to equate them to, is for some reason my WeTrade isn't working. So they like to equate them to Tesla. It's the Chinese version of Tesla, but it's really not. They're specifically and strictly an EV company, whereas Tesla is so much more than that, as we all know. So if you're looking at NIO on the chart here, and let's see here. Sorry about that. Let me shoot. Come on. There we go. So if we look at the chart here on NIO, you know, it's not going to, if you're looking for NIO to mirror that of a move out of Tesla, it's not going to happen. So you could make arguments that maybe this starts to get a move on, but they're going to have to do a lot more in order to really start to see new highs. You know, they're going to have really positive outlooks. They're going to have to talk about some sort of pre-order sales. You can see in their last earnings report, didn't do so hot, but they had some pretty good outlooks as far as that's concerned. And now it's settled back down here on the daily chart. So at this point in time, I don't really see a desire here for me to make any kind of play on NIO. Usually the volume's really low day in and day out at this point, especially since, you know, the catalyst is here and gone. So now we have to wait on NIO to actually make some sort of move. And given the fact that NIO is a Chinese-based company, and everything that's going on in China that I can't really say on YouTube, or else they'll just, you know, slap me on the wrist, is you know, they're going to be impacted by that somehow. And so I just don't imagine NIO really going anywhere. So if you're looking to invest in NIO, it's very risky. And even for a day trading or intraday trades, it really isn't worth it, in my opinion, to even bother with it, because the volume on it's so low. Unless some crazy news comes out on it, NIO is kind of going to be a no-go for me. So let's see here. What else we got? Microsoft. So yeah, Microsoft actually ended up doing extremely well on earnings. In my opinion, it's probably one of the best companies that you could really invest in at this point in time. I mean, it just, I mean, what else can you say about it? Should you be buying it in up here? I think, in my opinion, it's probably pretty risky to be buying it up here, only because it's made such a strong move. And I hate to say wait for a pullback, but at the same time, I think it's a missed opportunity at this point until some sort of pullback happens. Because I was the same way. Even after earnings, I was like, well, you know, maybe it does well on earnings, and then, you know, I can get in on some sort of pullback and I'll be good. But the pullback never happened. So with Microsoft, and let's go ahead and I'll share my screen with you here. You can see that it broke out of that previous high here above 185, and it just keeps ripping, right? I mean, it just keeps ripping. So resistance broken here. The next area of resistance is going to be probably somewhere around, I would say, right here, if I can mark this. Approximately at around 185 is going to be the next area of resistance. So if it doesn't have a pullback, I would be looking for a break around over 185 to make a trade, and this would just be based solely off of momentum. And then again, there's really not another area of strong resistance until you get to about 186. And after that, I mean, shoot, man, it could really continue to rip here. So, you know, that's my opinion on Microsoft. This would not be one that I would go short on. If you're looking to go long on it, I would wait for some sort of pullback. If the pullback doesn't happen, like I said, look for a break up above 185, and it should make a nice move there as well. So let me come back in, check, see what you guys are up to, and I'll do a few more here. Sound bites. People like the sound bites. Yeah, feels like Mad Money with Jim. You know, I wasn't like thinking that until I actually watched Jim the other day, and I was like, man, that really does kind of feel like that a little bit. I'm not trying to steal his thunder, but it is kind of fun to do that a little bit. People like the sound bites. Okay, cool. I like it. I like it. All right. So let me see here. I'll get to one more. Yeah, please like and share. Certainly would appreciate it. Thanks, Willis, for being the cheerleader tonight. I appreciate it. So let's see here. On Paso, is there any convertible notes? I didn't take a look. Honestly, I didn't have enough time to look at it before, but I think they do, but I don't believe it's that much. So don't quote me on that, but that's what I think. They do still have some convertible notes. So they're not completely done, but I don't think any of them are due anytime soon. So let me see here. NNVC. So we can take a look at NNVC. This will be the last one I look at. So NNVC is going to be one. It's a virus play, the Asian virus play. And I'll pull this up here. We can take a look at it again over here on WeTrade HQ. I'm going to pull it up on the daily chart just to kind of give us a good feel for what's going on. So you can see how choppy this is, right? NNVC is, a company that's looking to develop a vaccine for this said virus. And let's look at this on let me look at the 4-hour chart still looks terrible. The only argument you can make is that maybe it's starting to consolidate a little bit around here, around 690, and maybe starting to channel a little bit here between 795 and 690. So how do you make this play? Well, let's go to a 30-minute chart and see if it paints a little bit better of a picture. And it could potentially paint a better picture here. Really, what you're looking for on NNVC is if the fears of this virus continue to enhance, then perhaps you could make a strong argument that NNVC still makes a bullish move. If that happens, I will be looking for some sort of break up above this $8 mark. Otherwise, if there are developments that happen with this particular virus, this disease, let's just say maybe the virus starts to slow down, or let's just say another company comes out and develops a vaccine. You don't want to be caught in something like NNVC if something like that comes out. So if you're trading this, right, you're going to want to be like all ears all over the news. Sorry about that. You're going to be all ears all over the news, because if something positive comes out that virus is slowing down, or there's a cure, or not a cure, but vaccine that's come out, all these plays, all these quote unquote virus plays are going to get flushed right down the toilet. And that's plain and simple. So you got to be quick on the trigger with this kind of stuff. But if you're looking to play NNVC and you really strongly feel a certain way about it, I would look for a breakup above $8, because that seems to be the iffy kind of resistance there for it to break. Otherwise, if it ends up breaking down below $7 or $6.96, that area, it's probably going to continue to go lower. All right. So, thanks, Chris Rogers. I appreciate it, man. So if you guys got some value out of this, again, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And if you're interested in checking out my mentorship, the links are down in the description below. And that's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you have a wonderful President's Day. If you guys have the day off, hopefully you're doing something fun. I will be continuing to work. Just won't be trading. So that's going to do it for me, guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. And as always, I will see you all before the bell. Take care, guys, and have a great night. See ya.